Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Global. We'll get you the top stories from India and the region. I'm Amritpal Singh. And for news from the rest of the world, I'm joined by my colleague from London, Ollie Barrett. Good to see you, Ollie.
Even better to see you, Amritpal. It's just past 12:30 here in London, 1:30 p.m. across Central Europe. Coming up in the next half hour, an election date announcement, Thailand's new Prime Minister, and Taylor Swift back at Wembley with a special guest. First, the headlines.
Bangladesh head of interim government Mohammad Yunus dials Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, assures him of safety of Hindus in Bangladesh. Elections announced for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and the northern Indian state of Haryana. Jammu and Kashmir to go to polls in 3 phases on September 18th, 25th and the 1st of October. Haryana to go to poll on October 1st, results on October 4. Paetongtarn Tinawat, elected as the youngest Prime Minister of Thailand, succeeds Srettha Thavisin, who was removed by the country's constitutional court. Gaza ceasefire talks underway in Doha for the second day. Mediators trying for a diplomatic solution to the conflict. British and French foreign ministers are in West Asia to press for de-escalation. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi held telephonic conversation with Professor Mohammad Yunus, the chief advisor of the interim government in Bangladesh, and exchanged views on the prevailing situation. In a social media post, the Indian Prime Minister reaffirmed India's support for a democratic, stable, peaceful and progressive Bangladesh. He assured protection, Mohammad Yunus actually assured protection, safety and security of Hindus and all minorities in Bangladesh. And Yunus in turn assured the same for the minorities in Bangladesh. And India's Ministry of External Affairs held a press conference in New Delhi on Friday. Addressing the media, the spokesperson said that India is closely monitoring the situation in Bangladesh.
Prime Minister, when he spoke from the Red Fort, he conveyed concerns on behalf of 140 crore Indians that the status of minorities, status of Hindus and other minorities in Bangladesh, the government there should do more for the protection, for the safety and security. In fact, you would have in the suo motu statement that External Affairs Minister made in the Parliament also, there again he had mentioned his deep concerns about the safety and security of Hindus and other minorities. And he also had mentioned that we are monitoring the situation and we're deeply concerned about the safety and security of minorities.
India's Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar announced the schedule of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir and Haryana on Friday. The assembly polls in Jammu and Kashmir will be held in 3 phases. The first will be on the 18th of September, followed by the second phase on the 25th of September and the last phase on the 1st of October. The counting of votes will be taken up on the 4th of October. Haryana will see a single phase polls on the 1st of October. Counting takes place together with J&K on the 4th of October.
Date of poll will be 18th of September and it's a Wednesday. We are also keeping that in mind, not keeping Fridays and Mondays to give a longer holiday spell. Second phase would be on 29th of August and the statutory period of nominations and all, poll being on 25th of September. And phase 3, nomination on 5th of September and every voting finishing on 1st of October. So Counting would be on 4th of October, and everything would be over, bind up on 6th of October.
Thailand's Parliament elected Paetongtarn Shinawatra as the youngest Prime Minister of the country on Friday, only a day after she was thrust into spotlight amid relenting power struggle between the country's warring elites. Paetongtarn succeeds Shreta Thavisin, who was removed from his post by a constitutional court ruling on Wednesday. The 37-year-old Paetongtarn is the youngest child of billionaire tycoon Thaksin Shinawatra and is the third member of the family after her father and aunt to hold the nation's top job.
For now, we'll wait for the royal endorsement before discussing our administration plans further. Today, I just wanted to come here to express my gratitude for the votes. I feel excited. Normally speaking in front of a microphone doesn't make me nervous, but today I'm really excited.
And in India's William Denslow reports for more on that.
The majority of members of parliament in Thailand have approved Paetongtarn Shinawatra to be the country's next prime minister. She's never served in office before, but the family name is certainly well known on the political landscape in Thailand. Her father, Thaksin Shinawatra, is a former prime minister himself and still looms large over Thai politics. He is still regarded as a deeply divisive, deeply polarizing character on the Thai political scene. He only returned to the country around a year ago after a prolonged period in self-imposed exile. This is just the latest chapter in what has been a tumultuous time in Thai politics, with the Constitutional Court very much at the heart and centre of it. Just a few weeks ago, they moved to dissolve an opposition Move Forward party after their attempts to amend a defamation law in the country. And then just a few days ago, they ruled in a 5-4 decision to remove Shinawatra's predecessor, Srettha Thavisin, from the role of Prime Minister, accusing him of grossly violating ethical standards because one of his cabinet picks had a criminal record. Shinawatra now has the unenviable task of bringing a degree of unity to what has been an incredibly divisive period in Thai politics, and also to try and get a spluttering economy moving again. William Denslow in Hong Kong reporting for DD India.
British and French foreign ministers are visiting West Asia to press for de-escalation, even as the United States and Qatar are trying hard for a ceasefire deal in Doha. Ollie Barrett is in London to give us more on this and other stories making headlines from around the world. So, Ollie, could diplomacy prevail this time around?
It's a tall order, Amritpal, but the foreign ministers of the UK and France have been meeting with their counterpart Israel Katz and Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer in Israel on Friday. Britain and France are calling for a diplomatic solution to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza and restore peace along the Israeli-Lebanese border, according to the UK's Foreign Office. This visit marks the first joint UK-France trip to Israel in more than a decade. And it comes with diplomatic efforts underway in Doha to secure a ceasefire and a hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. Key mediators are working to try and break the deadlock after previous talks failed. Meanwhile, Israel has ordered fresh evacuations in southern and central Gaza on Friday, saying the areas had been used by Hamas as a base for firing mortars and rockets towards Israel. Well, DD India's Sarah Coates joins us live now from Tel Aviv. Sarah, any signs of progress yet from those ceasefire negotiations?
Hello there, Ollie. Well, these talks are set to pick up once again in Qatar later this afternoon. According to these key mediators on the ground, so far they have been constructive. They've been held in good spirits. Now, what these mediators are really trying to do this time around is basically the same as what they've tried other times around, and this is bridging the gaps between the positions of Israel and Hamas. Now, we do have a statement from Qatar's foreign ministry. It came out to say that mediators are resolute in their commitment to move forward in their endeavours to reach a ceasefire in the Strip that would facilitate the release of hostages and enable the entry of the largest possible amount of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Now, there is a real push this time to try and get this over the line once and for all, especially given the threat from Iran, the threat from Hezbollah after the assassinations of both Fuad Shukr, he was the second in charge of Hezbollah, and then, of course, Ismail Haniyeh, he was the head of Hamas's Politburo. And this is why Iran is saying it will retaliate to Israel, given that Ismail Haniyeh was killed on the soil of Iran. So certainly a very tense time here in the region. And this, once again, is why we're just seeing such a huge diplomatic push to try and bring down tensions, Ollie.
OK, thank you, Sarah. On to another conflict now, and Moscow has accelerated the evacuation of its citizens from the Kursk and Belgorod regions amid ongoing advancements by Ukrainian forces in the area. Ukrainian presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak says the cross-border operation into Russia's Kursk region is necessary to try and prompt Moscow into engaging in meaningful negotiations, describing it as a push for fair talks. A Russian bomber has crashed in Siberia's Irkutsk region due to a technical malfunction. One of the crew members died while others were injured and hospitalized. Regional Governor Igor Kobzev has confirmed the incident. And American singer Taylor Swift was back at Wembley Stadium for the start of the final shows of the European leg of her Eras tour. Singer Ed Sheeran was a surprise guest on stage as her tour resumed here. No bad blood between those two, Amritpal. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Ollie, for that. And still to come on DD India Global, Mpox virus travels out of Africa. Sweden confirms its first case in Europe. Pakistan also confirms infection. ISRO successfully launches EOS-8 Earth observation satellite.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Global. I'm Amritpal Singh. Achieving another milestone, the Indian Space Research Organisation, or ISRO, has successfully launched an Earth observation satellite by the name of EOS-08 by a small satellite launch vehicle. In its third mission, ISRO successfully placed the SSLV into the intended orbit. EOS-8 is specially designed for deploying small satellites into low Earth orbit. With a growing demand for small launch vehicles, ISRO aims to commercialize it. The EOIR is designed to provide vital infrared data for various applications, including satellite-based surveillance, disaster monitoring, and environmental observation. And ISRO Chief S. Somnath congratulated the team for SSLV success. He announced that the development process of SSLV has reached conclusion and the technology will be transferred to the private sector.
The third development flight of SSLV D3, with the EOS-08 satellite has been successfully accomplished. The rocket has placed the spacecraft in the very precise orbit as planned. I find that there are no deviations in the injection conditions. The final orbit, of course, will be known after tracking, but the current indication is that everything is perfect. The EOS-08 satellite as well as SR-0 satellite also has been injected after the maneuvers. And congratulations to the SSLV-D3 team, the project team. With this third development flight of SSLV, we can declare the development process of SSLV is completed. And congratulations now.
The newly appointed Mauritius National Assembly Speaker, Adrian Charles Dewell, is on a visit to India. Speaker of the lower house of the Indian Parliament, Om Birla, welcomed Mauritius's National Assembly Speaker, and later the two leaders held a bilateral meeting. Dewell had received an official invitation to visit India, which was extended by Birla. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State for Management and Resources Richard R. Verma arrived in Kathmandu on Friday for a two-day official visit. Verma, who is the second highest ranking official in the U.S. State Department, is the most senior American official to visit Nepal since the CPN-UML chair KP Oli assumed the role of Prime Minister last month. He is scheduled to hold discussions on various aspects of the Nepal-US relationship and explore potential avenues for further collaboration. He will also meet with the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister of the country, Dr. Arzu Rana, and other key stakeholders. Mpox is traveling out of the African continent. Sweden has confirmed its first case of viral infection, which was also the first case outside Africa. This comes a day after the WHO declared the disease a global public health emergency for the second time in 2 years. Sweden's Health and Social Affairs Minister informed the country that a first case of a more dangerous type of Mpox called Clade 1. Meanwhile, in Asia, Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Health Department has also confirmed one case of Mpox in patients who had returned from a Gulf country. And after Mpox cases were detected outside Africa, the officials of the WHO and the International Federation of the Red Cross held a press conference on the virus, highlighting the threat of its spread. No travel restrictions were addressed, but an urgent need for international support was called in.
Spreading much more rapidly than we had seen others spread. So that's one issue. It does have quite a high case fatality rate at the moment. As mentioned, we've seen more than 500 deaths, and it's particularly dangerous for those with a weak immune system, so people who maybe have HIV or who are malnourished. And as you know, in the area that it's spreading very rapidly, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, there are a lot of people who are displaced because of conflict and are under all kinds of stress. It's also dangerous for small children.
Despite these efforts, we are facing significant challenges. There is a critical shortage of testing, treatment, and vaccines across the continent. These shortages are severely hampering the ability to contain the outbreak. We are calling for urgent international support to increase access to vaccine stocks and treatment options, and to scale up testing and alert investigation. Without these resources, the epidemic will continue to spread.
And the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention has declared that Mpox outbreak is a public health emergency of continental security, basically a global health emergency following an increase in cases of the disease in Congo and other African countries. The declaration enables the health body to lead and coordinate the response to the outbreak. DD India's Chris Okaringa has more from Kinshasa.
The African Union's health body sounded the alarm over the Mpox outbreak after the disease spread to several African countries. The viral disease was first reported in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Health officials in the DRC say more than 15,000 people have contracted the disease and over 500 others have died this year. The country's healthcare system has been ravaged by decades of conflict. a new strain of the viral infection that is more contagious and deadly than the one reported globally in 2022 was detected near the DRC border with Burundi and Rwanda earlier this year. More than 100 cases of the strain known as Clade 1b have now been reported in Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. The World Health Organization has declared the Mpox outbreak a public health emergency of international concern to support the African countries to end the outbreak. The declaration will enable the global health body to mobilize resources and coordinate the response. Mpox is an infectious disease caused by the monkeypox virus. It's transmitted to humans through contact with animals or infected people. International health bodies are working with African countries to provide vaccines and prevent the disease from spreading globally. Chris Ochamringa in Kinshasa, reporting for DD India.
So what is the Mpox virus? Dr. S. Chatterjee, an internal medicine specialist at Delhi's Apollo Hospital, explains.
Mpox, or what was earlier known as monkeypox, is a viral disease. It basically presents as fever, sore throat, body aches, headache, but mainly it can cause blisters on the body or rashes on the body and lymph node enlargement. It happens with mainly touch or near contact with people who are affected with the disease. It is mainly a self-limiting disease, but yes, it can cause death in a significant population also. And that is why the World Health Organization is warning health authorities worldwide to be aware of the disease and make arrangements to diagnose it and treat it symptomatically and identify it earlier.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Indonesian President Joko Widodo delivered his final State of the Nation address on Friday. Widodo spoke about the growth and success that the country has shown consistently. Widodo will step down from his position later this year. Australia is testing a hypersonic attack cruise missile with the United States and will consider fielding as its first hypersonic weapon for fighter jets. It is believed that the joint production of missiles by Australia and the US will reduce the strain on US defense industrial base and will fortify the Indo-Pacific region. 5 people, including a woman, have been charged for supplying Friends star Matthew Perry with ketamine that caused his overdose death nearly a year ago. The U.S. attorney said that they were the part of the network that distributed the drug to Perry. 2 of the accused were arrested on Thursday. Over 200 participants took part in an annual regatta on the Meuse River in Dinant in Belgium. This year's theme in Belgium, featuring rafts adorned by national symbols like the mannequin statue, fries and the atomium. The event began in 1982, inspired by a shopkeeper who heard of someone floating down a river in a bathtub in Italy. The participants receive awards for creativity, theme and atmosphere, with everyone taking home a medal or a trophy. And that's it then in this edition of DD India Global, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available both on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code that you see on your screen right now to download. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India Global.